Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gail.
So today we are podcasting out of the restaurant Lola41 here on Palm Beach. It's a favorite of both of ours.
Well, especially yours, Kim.
Yeah, I have been on many dates here, which is why I thought it would be a good idea to come, because a lot of people say, where should I go on a date in Palm Beach? They ask for our favorite restaurants here. This is our first restaurant that we're podcasting out of.
And this is part of the White Elephant. It's quite an unusual restaurant and hotel, so it's worth a visit, and the food is delicious. So
yeah, to set the scene a little bit for people just listening and not watching,
right.
It's more modern than a lot of the or what would you say?
Well, I don't know if it's modern. It's in a courtyard. The umbrellas are fabulous. They're striped umbrellas out in a garden, and you can also sit inside as well. And it's an intimate little setting, and the food is wonderful. It's an Asian, what do you call it?
Well, it's a lot of sushi.
Yeah.
But then they have other things. I would say like an Asian fusion.
Yeah, you can get a hamburger.
Yeah, you can.
Which I've had here, which is delicious.
So they have things for everyone. My favorite thing that they actually already brought us here is the Maruko roll. I think we gotta try it.
Well, you'll definitely try it, but I'm not having it now. I'm having a cold, refreshing strawberry drink, which is wonderful.
Oh yeah, let's cheers.
Cheers to our first restaurant podcast of many more.
Ooh, very good.
Very good.
Mine is like a lime, cucumber little concoction.
And mine has got strawberries in it. Whatever it is, it's delicious, and hopefully I'll get through the podcast.
Yes. So today on the episode, we're going to walk you through what we would order on a date, some date night etiquette, all things restaurants.
Related,
yes. I'm trying to think of dates. I think I've gone on a few dates here. I know one I went just for drinks, and I sat right here on this banquette. Oh, this is an etiquette thing. When it's a banquet seating like we're sitting on now, where should the man sit and where should the woman sit?
Well, that's a hard thing when you're going out just with one person and not a group. I would like to face my date. I think it's a little strange to be sitting here.
Side sit.
Yeah, that's
from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Exactly. That's a Larry David. It's very difficult unless you're sitting at a bar. Mm-hmm. So I would ask to sit on the end, and you sit on the big cat and the gentleman sitting across from you, so you have facial expressions and you can see how somebody is reacting to your conversation.
But you're across from each other. But like, who sits on the bench and who sits in the chair?
I think the male usually, because he's usually bigger, but it doesn't always mean that, but usually he's the bigger guy, likes to sit on the chair.
And also I think usually...
I know Poppy always sat on a chair, and I would always have to go into the banquette. So, but there are tables here where you both can sit on chairs. It's just this one banquette, which is so pretty, that has, the inside seating. Otherwise, there are several tables. If you both want to sit on chairs, you both can sit at a table with chairs.
Well, this one's very comfy, and it has all these colorful pillows and stuff.
Beautiful.
So it's pretty. But I think also the reason women sit on the banquette is usually they're looking out into the restaurant, right? And that's like the better seat.
I don't know.
Aren't you supposed to give girls the better seat?
Yeah, I don't know. I never thought about it. The better seat is looking at your date.
Wow, that's nice. Most people go to a restaurant, they're like, I want to be people watching.
Well, then you shouldn't go on that date twice. That's the problem. That's why you don't get a second and third date with that guy.
I did sit at an actual table in the back here on a date once too, and then at the end one of my friends came and joined us. I remember that.
Well, that can be, because the banquets are harder for that kind of thing, unless you're like 8 people and then you all sit together and share the delicious sushi or whatever you're having here. So it's a really fun venue for all those who are going to come down here, and it's worth a try.
When people go on a dinner date, do you think there's any expectations that come with a dinner date versus like grabbing drinks or something more casual?
Well, I think so. I think a dinner date means you're going to spend at least 2 hours together, whereas grabbing a drink, if either one of you either are busy and have something you have to do later, an appointment or something like that, other than just the date, that's a quickie. That's a half an hour at most, or 40 minutes. But a dinner commitment is an evening, and it should be enjoyed and savored. And usually you start out with a cocktail of some sort, or a glass of wine, or bottle of wine, depending on how much you like to drink. And then you take your time, get to know one another, introduce yourselves properly, and then you proceed with ordering from the menu. And it's fun because sometimes on a dinner date you see people's distinct likes and dislikes. Some people say, "Oh, I can't eat anything with garlic in it," which is your grandfather.
Yeah,
that's a
that one's
production.
personal.
That's a personal thing. But there are a lot of people who don't like shallots in their food. Don't like. So you get to know somebody's personality and also what their likes are. If both of you might love fish, so you'll both say, "Oh, let's share the fish and get another dish along with it," or whatever. It's a good way of finding out what the other person is like.
I can't say any date I've ever been on, and we know I've been on a lot, has said I am picky or I can't eat a certain thing.
No.
They're usually like, let's share a bunch of things, almost 10
Well,
out
you
of 10.
did have one date. I'm going to remind you. You don't remember.
I guess I blocked these things
You
out.
blocked this out where you made dinner and you thought you were making something really special, which is your one dish that you really make well is your grilled salmon, and it turned out the man didn't eat salmon. So
He was
that
very
can happen.
difficult with
Food.
but not in a way of like allergies, in
No.
a way of
some
like,
people don't like it. I mean, your grandfather isn't allergic to garlic.
I think
he just
it's-
doesn't like it.
Right, true. I think it's also like pickiness. I think in that situation, he just, whatever I made, he didn't want to eat it. Like he was like, thought he was too
okay.
bougie for my home cooking or something. But I think that
Well, he
like,
missed your one meal.
I know. The one, I think that might have been the last time I used the oven like 2 years ago.
That could happen. That
Yeah.
definitely could happen. But I think going on this date, you talk, you discuss other things beside the food, about their work, about what their habits are, what do they enjoy, if they like to go, on trips, if they like to walk in the park, what are they go to a museum, if they're interested in politics. Except don't go on the presidential election, whatever you do, on your first or second date, because that could be a world war. But, you get to feel somebody out over dinner.
Any food that you shouldn't order?
Well, I wouldn't eat anything that's too sloppy. I wouldn't order. I would be very careful, even with the sushi, because it could be dribbling out of your.
Oh, I feel like sushi's the easiest
Is
thing
it?
on a date
But
because
you
it's like
can't
one
chew it
bite.
all in one bite. Those are awfully big for one bite, Kim. You'll have to show us later. I would never.
Let's see.
I'm telling
If
you.
I was on a date
Yeah.
and I was having this sushi roll,
First, you have to. First,
I
you
would-
broke your
I
chopstick.
would break my chopstick.
Now you broke your chopstick first.
tell me what I'm doing wrong and right, okay?
I don't know.
Do I don't have to serve him or anything. I can just take my sushi.
Well, are you sharing?
We're sharing this sushi.
Well, if you're sharing, I think you should say, why don't you take some off your plate, especially during
no,
COVID?
people just like eat a bite and then you eat a bite.
Okay, but I don't
Okay.
think you can put that whole thing in your mouth and then carry on a conversation. So I'll
Okay,
carry
here's-
the conversation.
When he's talking, we take turns of talking. When you talk, I eat. When I talk, you eat. It's the understood
rule
rule.
of sushi.
Okay, of dating.
All right.
Of dinner
so
dating.
you eat the sushi
So
and
he's
I'll
telling
talk.
me a story. You're telling me a story, and I go
Okay.
like this.
Okay. One bite. Well, I think that's a lot of in your mouth at once. See, this is why I don't order
Already
sushi on a
swallowed.
date.
Already ready to talk again.
Oh,
Nothing
okay.
on my mouth.
Okay. All right. Then you're a perfected sushi eater. See, me, I would be eating it. I'd have to eat it with a fork and eat half of it because I couldn't swallow that. all at
If
once.
someone ate their sushi with a fork,
Is that bad?
I would never go out with him again.
Oh, well, that's why I never had sushi when I dated.
Yeah, that would give me an ick for sure. What I think that you shouldn't eat on a date is probably something like I think a burger is hard. I think
well,
any,
anything that you have
canned
to
food.
stuff in your mouth and
Yeah.
eat is very you have to know the person a little better because the ketchup could start dribbling and you get your shirt all messed up or your dress. I agree. It has to be neat food. You have to be able to cut it or
Yeah.
a one bite situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered the food.
Well, also once I went on a date and I thought it was safe because we were sharing branzino,
Okay.
but there were so many bones in it.
Oh, that's very bad.
And so I like put it in my mouth and I'm like, I'm either gonna have to spit this out in front of him and give him the ick, or just die, or just choke and die.
I think you have to choke and die.
At that point, right? It's like, I guess this is goodbye.
Goodbye. Say goodbye to the fellow and just leave.
No,
that's
unfortunately,
That's a very hard thing to eat. You're absolutely right. Anything with bones or anything. That's why what can't we just order a small steak and like a baked like a French fry
No,
and
because
just
like I feel like people share, and then I
No.
guess I've shared a strip steak and things
Yeah.
like that.
you're
That's
not
always
gonna
a
eat,
good
or
one.
just thinking of another one. You can't eat ribs on a date. That's definitely a no-no.
No, that'd be awful.
And then what I loved last week, which I told 2 weeks ago, which I told you in New Orleans, those crab steamed crabs, the big dish of that. Don't go on a date eating that
Crawfish?
either. Crawfish, because you have to break their heads and then suck it
Right,
out.
no.
They're very unattractive.
We're talking
to do
about
that
once you're comfortable with someone, like eat whatever you
then
want.
you can do
but-
it. First and second date, keep it neat.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I think French fries are really easy. Like you just take one, whatever.
Okay.
Are there any red flags you should look out for during a dinner date?
Well, the only red flag would be if the person isn't nice. I mean, dinner is dinner. I mean, once you've ordered and make your decisions, which of course that's another thing. Don't procrastinate. Oh, look at the menu. Oh, maybe I should take this. No. Maybe that's good. Or maybe the other is better. You know what? Make your decision. Act mature. You're on a date. And if you don't love it, just eat. First of all, I think sharing on a first date, unless it's something you can't share, is one you can't share soup, but you could share a lot of things. I think it also, you don't know how much your date, and I'm figuring that the man is taking you out, you're not taking the man out on the first date. I think that you should never order, which my mother told me right away, never order the most expensive thing on the menu. Mm-hmm. That is for sure, because you don't know somebody else's finances. So I think that's very important.
What about like a guy pulling out your chair? Because I feel like that would have been
that's lovely,
very nice but now like
I don't
when
know
guys
anybody
do it,
that does it.
No one really does it, and if they do, I'm kind of like, huh.
No, I think it's nice if they do it. It's like
nice.
opening a car door. I think it's still very polite.
Yeah.
But we've grown up in an age of equality, and a lot of people figure you were pulling out the chair for me. So I don't know what that answer is. I still like it.
What if somebody like was drinking and put their pinky up?
I don't know. I never said. Well, you're not. If you're drinking tea.
I guess you don't really have tea dates.
No.
Okay, now we're gonna play a game on a dinner date. Is this good, bad, or I don't care? Okay, so you're on a date, and your date says they don't want bread. Is that good, bad, or you don't care?
Well, I don't think I would care, but if I like bread, this is getting to like, I feel like I'm on a comedy show. If I like bread, I would say, you know what, I'd like the bread. Now, unfortunately, this is something to have a conversation about. This has nothing to do with the date. A lot of restaurants now charge for bread. Which I find not very nice, but they really do. If they don't put it down on the table, it's usually something they charge. So if he says no bread, then just go along with it, because maybe he knows that the restaurant is charging and he doesn't want to pay for the bread.
Okay, good
That's
point.
something to really think about now. I never thought of it before, but now it's very, very common.
Yeah, I rarely have bread on, like, in general. Like before the dinner, like I have bread. Sorry, like
but if you're going to having mussels, then you need bread.
Right, but like I very rarely like
dishes.
have the bread
Right.
before. That said, he doesn't know that, so I think he should have said, "Oh, do you want it?"
Yeah, I think. Well, I think he should, just out of courtesy, say, do you want the bread? And if you say no, then say, excuse, we don't need the bread.
Yeah. Okay, you're on a date and your date talks with food in his mouth.
That's terrible. That's just not good manners.
Yeah.
Nobody should talk with food in their mouth.
I agree.
They should
That's
wait
bad.
till they're chewing and they're swallowing, and then they can continue with the conversation. That's why a lot of people don't like to go on dinner evenings on a first date, because they feel a little nervous, and I understand that, especially the younger generation. As you get older, you're a little more confident, but when you're 22 to 23 to 24 and you haven't dated that many people seriously, they get a little nervous, so I can understand that.
I get that it's more casual. You don't have to worry about all these little things we're talking about, but at the end of the day, it's dinner. Like, you know how to have dinner with someone. You know how to have a 2-hour conversation. So,
well, that's also a thing. What does the date usually bring up as a lead-in? Where do you work, or what do you do? Is that the usual generational thing?
it depends. I've been thinking about this recently because I always like overthink when I'm going into it, and I'm like, what's my first line gonna be? Like, sometimes I like to bring a little story of like, oh my gosh, like, how nice is it outside today? Or like, I just had the weirdest Uber ride. Or I like to come in with something versus just like, nice to meet you, just to be chill. But it really depends. Like, sometimes I've gone on a few completely blind dates recently, and I usually sit down, and I feel like everyone always looks to me to like start. So I'm like, wait, I actually know nothing about you. Like, tell
Right.
me a
Well,
little
that's
bit
what I'm
about
saying.
yourself.
You have to break the ice.
Right. Or if I like kind of already know the person, or if we like matched on an app already, I think usually you could be like, did you have a busy like day today? Like, how's your week
Right.
going?
Right. Because I mean, I when I was young, we basically knew each other unless it was a blind date, and then you were fixed up by somebody you knew, so they would give you a little intro on what their likes and what their dislikes are. But I think the opening date is always a little uncomfortable.
It's always an interview. Like, you're always going to tell someone where you're from, where you went to work, your
Right.
childhood traumas. No kidding. So it's, very easy in a way because it's cookie cutter. You can do the same thing
Okay.
every time, but
Well, hopefully
it's also
people will not have to do it that much, and they get
Exactly.
to have a second and third, and finally a romance.
Yeah. Okay, you're on a date and your date goes to the bathroom. Is that like an annoying interruption, or
I think it's a time to just breathe in, have a drink of water or your drink or your cocktail that you have in front of you. I mean, that's a normal bodily function, and it is what it is. You can't.
I don't think they actually have to go to the bathroom a lot of the times. I think they just want like a check-in moment with themselves.
I
like-
think women do it more than men.
I've never gotten up during a date to go to the bathroom. Guys do probably 9 out of 10 times.
Really?
Because I don't think they're actually going. I think they're like, okay, this is when I go. I like text my friends, or I like think about, I don't know, just like sometimes I think they probably get in their heads and they're like, okay, I don't know what to say anymore. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm always just like, all right, go for it. And then I sit, I check my texts.
I sort of think this is sort of sad. Maybe the restaurant theme isn't working for you, Kim. You might have to go to Broadway shows.
No, because even if it's a drinks date, like they can go to the bathroom.
Okay. All
But
right.
yeah, I guess like that's why I like activity dates, because I'm like, let's get out of this pattern.
Okay. That is reasonable. I think you're not wrong on that.
Have you ever been like on a date or dinner with people where you start like choking on water or something,
Yes.
and it's like so
Well,
uncomfortable?
I used to. I did that a lot. I did that once in I was away on a trip, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to die on the in China because something went down the wrong pipe, and you feel. First of all, I had to excuse myself from the table because
Yeah,
you're,
what do
you're
you
choking.
do? Like-
Well, hopefully it passes as long as you know you didn't get food caught.
Yeah.
You just have to regain yourself. It sometimes goes down the wrong pipe, and you just have to either have a little drink of water or a piece of bread and you carry on. But you don't have to do it at the table. You say, excuse me, you take your napkin and walk out to the lobby area or wherever
Yeah.
there is a common area.
so awkward.
It is awkward, but it happens. And you know what? That's part of life. Things happen. You don't get that hysterical about it. It isn't the end of the world. It happens to everybody. And I think to really enjoy your companionship, you have to realize no one is really going to be perfect.
Okay, then let's talk about the end of the dinner date. Well, I guess first of all, do you think guys ever think, oh, I took her to dinner, like she should give me a kiss, or I should go home with her or something? Or
Well, that's not good. If they think that, then that's no good. That's paying for a favor. We're not doing that. But I think actually it's nice to end if you've both had a nice time, either to hug somebody or give them a kiss on the cheek. You can kiss both cheeks. Be very European.
if I went on a date and they went to say goodbye and I went, that's automatic friend zone. They're like, she hates me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's like not romantic.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't know if on
I
the
feel
first.
like I would either give a hug.
Yeah, a hug is good
Yeah.
then. Let's
Like,
settle
I'm
with
not,
the
I'm not
hug.
kissing on both cheeks. It's like I'm in like Saint Tropez.
I
Like,
think that's so nice. That's where I want to be.
yeah, fair. Yeah, again, like doesn't matter if it's a drinks date or dinner date, whatever. It's just like if you had a good time.
Exactly.
And all of that.
And hopefully, in most cases, when they do have a good time, you get a text before you even get into your apartment. So
Yes.
that's
Usually it's
usually you know.
hope you got home okay.
Exactly.
Had a really nice
and that's
time with
very
me
important,
tonight.
by the way. I mean, in this day and age,
Yeah.
I think that text when you're, hope you got in all right, had a wonderful time, hope to see you soon. That's a very nice thing. And you send back a heart emoji or whatever you send back. I have
Like the
I'm very good in
message.
those heart
Me
emojis.
too, yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's a lovely way to end the evening. And then you're looking forward again to a second date or a third date. I think that's really nice. You have to build up to expectations. I don't think, in most cases, it's not like a whirlwind first date and it's love at first sight. That's in the movies.
Agreed. Okay, let's talk about the rule that we did this week. Date the person, not their potential. So it's basically, Grandma, right, about someone, you should date someone for who they are currently, not who you think they'll turn into.
Because they might never
They
turn
might never
into that.
change, right?
And it's very important to like the person and his qualities or her qualities right away. If you're really going to start trying to change somebody, that is to me a red flag, because nobody really changes. They just get more intransigent in their behavior. So
or they're like, and I haven't actually seen this happen, but if you are really, really positive, this is the way I want to work on myself, these are the ways I'm doing it, whatever. But most of the time, I
don't think most people think of that. When I think at this point, unless you're under heavy analysis,
Right.
They don't think that way. They're just looking to say, "Oh, I had a wonderful time. I enjoyed myself. I'd love to see that person again," and take it from there. And also, I had fun. It wasn't an effort to spend an evening together. And let's see where it goes. Not, is he going to become the president of the United States?
Right.
Is he going to be the head of General Motors? We don't know where that's going to happen. But if he's got a good head on his shoulder and he's respectful and entertaining, enjoyable. I mean, the whole thing is to enjoy each other.
Yeah. It's about being like realistic and honest with yourself as well.
Yeah. I mean, you're having fun. This is not first date or even fifth or sixth date is not that serious yet.
Okay, let's end with a little Ask Grandma Anything. So first question, when did you come down to Palm Beach?
When did I come down to Palm Beach? Well, I guess I had visited Florida many times in different areas. I used to love to go to Sarasota. We went to tennis camp there in Bradenton. We came down to Palm Beach on a steady basis, I guess in maybe 87. And when my children were basically either out of college or in college. And we spent a lot of time here, and we loved the weather, and we loved our friends we were starting to make here, and we were still young enough to play
What year
golf
was
every
that
day.
when you-
87.
Oh, so kind of late.
Yeah, well, I was in my
Well,
40s.
Yeah, but on that show, Palm Royale, people were down here already by the
Well,
60s.
Well, that show was shot in 1969.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
So
well, they're much older. Those people are all dead now, Kim.
Oh, okay.
This is 60 years later.
No. That was 20
50
years later.
No,
The
69 is 70, 1970.
Yeah, and you're saying you went when?
87. So yeah, about
17 years
17
later.
years
Oh, yeah,
later.
so it's pretty different.
Yeah, I know how old I am. So they were these people that are supposedly in this show range up to 190 now. They would be long dead. But that was a different type of Palm Beach. That isn't the Palm Beach that I knew. And
it's not that indifferent. They did last episode was at the Breakers, and they had like a whole Havana night.
Yeah, but it was still very different. It was a very socialite type of society.
Right.
And it was not for every man, that's for sure. It was very exclusive. By the time I started coming down here, it was less exclusive, and I had my own group of friends. We would play tennis in the morning and golf in the afternoon. I mean, it was a different time of my life, where my life really revolved around sports. Now I would no longer think of playing tennis. I don't even think I know how to hold a tennis racket anymore.
What other TV shows are you watching now?
Now I'm watching. Well, I only watch on the what do you call it, on the streaming. So I'm watching it on MZT.
What's that?
It's a foreign channel. It shows all the mysteries.
Yeah.
So I'm watching one called Winters. It takes place in Sweden, and it's very dark. But for those people who like, they usually have one or two parts, and they're very good detectives. They come out with the reason why this guy murdered the person in a way that you would never figure it out. But it's very entertaining, and I like that. Mm-hmm. And I like titles. It makes me focus. If I just listen to the voices, I don't even bother.
Said no one ever. I feel exactly the opposite.
I know.
Yeah. The Bachelor finale just happened, so I now can't watch that season anymore, but he picked somebody. Yay.
All right. Good.
And I also just started this documentary show about like Nickelodeon in the 90s and 2000s.
Okay.
And there were all like pedophiles who like
wow.
worked there, and a lot of these famous names were like really messed up from it. It was really, really bad.
That's very bad. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch that.
Yeah, but it's interesting if you want your childhood to be ruined.
Well, that's the problem. You don't know, and we've often discussed this, what goes on in front of the camera is not very often what's going on behind the camera.
Yeah. One last question. Someone's asked, do you know anyone who got married after they got divorced and are happy?
Got married for a second time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know loads of people, not only who got divorced, but also who were widowed or a widower and got married and had a second chance at love. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. You know what? I don't think there's just one person for everyone. There are a series of people that somebody can meet and fall in love with and have a wonderful life. So for all those who get despondent that they don't have a person at this point, don't worry. Someone will come right in front of you soon and you will be fine and fall in love.
Okay, on that note, thank you guys for listening again. This was fun podcasting out of Lola41. You guys should check it out if you come to Palm Beach. One more cheers. And we'll see you all soon.